Welcome. Thank you for choosing to settle in and share this time with me. Find a comfortable space, allow your breath to deepen, and let the world outside gently fade. My name is Silas, and this is my traveling home, The Wanderer. Together we move through the world at a slow and steady pace. It's a philosophy that values feeling a place over simply seeing it, listening to its unique rhythms, and gathering quiet moments like smooth stones from a riverbed. My journeys aboard this train have carried me through such varied atmospheres, from the rich, artistic stone of Florence to the passionate, elegant pulse of Buenos Aires and the deep, fjord-carved tranquility of Bergen. That appreciation for how a city is defined by its stone, something so profound in Florence, where it felt shaped by art and ambition, is stirring in me again. As the train travels south through Croatia, the landscape outside my window is changing. Soft green hills are giving way to rugged, sun-bleached limestone, and the air, even through the glass, seems to carry the first faint promise of salt and sea, hinting at the Adriatic embrace awaiting us in Dubrovnik. In the chapters ahead, as we explore this famed pearl of the Adriatic, I find myself drawn to a few quiet curiosities. I wonder what it feels like to stand atop those ancient fortifications, to see the city not from its streets, but from above its sea of terracotta roofs, with the endless blue of the water on the other side. I've also heard of a small green island, just a short boat ride away, a nature reserve where peacocks roam freely. I'm curious about the silence there, the contrast it must offer to the city's stone embrace. And there are whispers of simple, hidden ledges, small holes in the wall that open directly onto the sea, offering nothing but the sound of the waves against the cliffs below. This is an invitation to slow down with me, to observe these moments, and to find a measure of peace in the present, just as I seek to do. Let the gentle sounds of the journey soothe you as we arrive and begin to explore the calm atmosphere of Dubrovnik together. If you find comfort and tranquility in sharing these experiences, perhaps consider liking this recording or subscribing to the channel to join me as the journey continues. For now, let us begin. Chapter 1. Along the Dalmatian Coast. The familiar rhythmic click of the wheels on the track is a constant companion, a sound that has become the steady heartbeat of my life on the move. Inside the warm wood-paneled carriage of the Wanderer, the world unspools through the large panoramic window. For days, the view has been one of rolling green hills and quiet inland villages, but now a subtle shift is taking place. The landscape is becoming more rugged, the soft earth giving way to outcrops of pale sun-bleached limestone that seem to drink the light. A new chapter of the journey is beginning. I sit in my comfortable armchair, a cup of warm tea cradled in my hands, its gentle steam fogging a small circle on the cool glass. Outside, the trees are changing. The dense forest have thinned, replaced by hardy, twisted olive trees with silver-green leaves that shimmer in the breeze, and tall, slender cypress trees that stand like dark green sentinels against the sky. There is a different quality to the air here, a scent I can almost taste, even through the sealed window, a faint, briny promise of the sea. It is the scent of the Dalmatian coast, drawing nearer with every turn of the wheels. My gaze drifts around my small moving home. The polished brass accents on the door handles and window frames gleam softly in the afternoon light. My well-worn leather satchel rests on the love seat opposite me, its straps and buckles softened with years of use. Beside it, my camera waits patiently. I think about the photographs I have taken on this leg of the journey, images of misty mornings and quiet farmhouses, and I feel a quiet anticipation for the new textures and colors that await me. The train is my constant, my shell, but its purpose is to carry me toward the new and the unknown. Reaching for my small, worn notebook and a pen, I open it to a fresh page. The paper is smooth under my fingertips. I don't write immediately, instead just holding the pen, observing the way the shadows of the passing cypress trees stripe the white page in a fleeting, hypnotic rhythm. The journey itself is a story, a long, unfolding narrative. Each destination is a new chapter, but the transitions, these quiet in-between moments, are the paragraphs that connect everything, giving the story its flow and its meaning. Later, as the sun begins to dip lower, I prepare a simple meal in the small kitchen area at the end of the carriage. The scent of garlic and herbs fills the space, mingling with the familiar comforting smell of old books and wood. I slice fresh bread and cheese, arranging them on a simple plate. There is a profound comfort in these small rituals, these anchors of normalcy that I carry with me wherever I go. Eating slowly by the window, I watch the limestone hills outside glow with a warm, honeyed light, the landscape growing starker and more beautiful as dusk approaches. Through a gap in the hills, I catch my first glimpse of it, a sliver of the deepest, most impossible blue I have ever seen. The Adriatic Sea. It is just a flash, gone as quickly as it appeared, but its image is burned into my mind. It is a powerful magnetic presence, and I feel a pull towards it, a sense of arriving somewhere ancient and profound. The character of the land has been shaped by this sea for millennia, and soon I will be standing on its shore. As darkness falls completely, the window becomes a mirror, reflecting the soft, warm light of the lamps inside my carriage. My own reflection looks back at me, a quiet observer on a journey without a fixed end. The train will take me as far as Split, the end of this particular line. From there, the final leg of the journey to Dubrovnik will be different. It will be a journey over water, leaving the familiar comfort of the wanderer behind for a short while. I tidy my small kitchen, the clink of the plate and cup a soft sound in the quiet carriage. I pull a thick blanket over my legs, the gentle rocking of the train a soothing cradle. Outside, the Croatian landscape is a deep, velvety darkness, but I know the sea is out there, a vast and silent presence. I close my eyes, not to sleep just yet, but to listen. To listen to the steady, reassuring heartbeat of the train, to the soft hum of the engine, and to listen to the silence in between those sounds, a silence filled with the promise of salt air, ancient stone, and the serene sunlit waters of the Adriatic. The journey is already changing me, slowing my pulse to match its own unhurried rhythm as it carries me south, ever south, toward the sea. Chapter 2. The Sea Gate. The deep, resonant hum of the ferry's engine is a different kind of rhythm from the train's familiar clickety-clack. It's a slower, more ponderous vibration that I feel through the soles of my shoes and up into my chest. I stand on the open-air deck, leaning against the cool metal railing, my leather satchel slung securely over my shoulder. The sun is warm on my face, and a gentle breeze carries the sharp, clean scent of salt, a scent that speaks of distance and depth. The wanderer waits for me back in Split, a faithful friend resting until my return. The ferry moves steadily south, a white vessel on a sea of impossible blue. The water is so clear that near the boat I can see deep into its turquoise depths. Further out, it darkens to a rich sapphire. We glide past islands that rise from the water like ancient sleeping creatures, their slopes covered in a thick blanket of dark green pine and dotted with the silver green of olive groves. Occasionally, a small fishing boat with a brightly painted hull bobs in our wake, its lone occupant lifting a hand in a slow, easy greeting. I lift my camera and frame a shot of the coastline, the stark white limestone cliffs plunging dramatically into the sea. But I don't press the shutter. Sometimes a view is too vast, too immense to be captured in a small rectangular frame. Some moments are meant only to be experienced, to be absorbed by the senses and held in the memory. I lower the camera, letting it rest against my chest, and choose instead to simply watch, to be present in this slow, sun-drenched journey across the water. The air is filled with the sound of the sea, the gentle hiss of the ferry cutting through the water, the distant, lonely cry of a gull circling overhead, and the soft murmur of conversations in a language I don't understand, its melodic cadence blending seamlessly with the sounds of the journey. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the sun warm my eyelids, feeling the gentle rocking of the boat, a cradle on the vast open water. It is a feeling of complete tranquility, of being untethered and yet perfectly in place. Then someone beside me points, and a quiet murmur ripples through the few passengers on the deck. I open my eyes and follow their gaze. At first, it is just a smudge on the horizon, a faint honey-colored line between the blue of the sea and the blue of the sky. But as we draw closer, the line resolves itself into something solid, something immense and unbelievable. It is a city made of stone, rising directly from the water as if carved from the coastline itself. It is Dubrovnik. The sight is breathtaking, and a hush falls over the deck. The city is encircled by massive, formidable stone walls, their surfaces weathered by centuries of sun, wind, and salt spray. They glow in the afternoon light, a warm golden ochre against the deep blue of the Adriatic. Above the walls, a sea of terracotta roofs crowds together, punctuated by the elegant stone towers of belfries and the dome of a cathedral. It doesn't look real. It looks like a city from a forgotten history book, a place preserved perfectly in time. As the ferry navigates the final approach into the old port, the scale of the walls becomes even more apparent. They are not just a barrier, they are a statement of strength, of endurance, of a city that has stood against empires and the relentless sea for 1,000 years. I can see the texture of the stone, the way new blocks have been set beside ancient weathered ones, each telling a story of siege and repair, of resilience and pride. The ferry glides past the imposing St. John Fortress, its stone feet planted firmly in the sea, and enters the calm, protected waters of harbor. Small wooden boats with canvas awnings are moored along the stone pier, bobbing gently. The air inside the harbor is different, warmer, more still, carrying the faint scent of diesel from the boats and something else, something like sun-baked stone and history. I take a deep breath as the ferry docks with a gentle bump against the pier. This is the sea gate to the city, the way sailors and merchants have arrived for centuries. Stepping off the boat, my feet touch the smooth, worn flagstones of the quay. I have arrived. The journey over water is complete, and the city, with all its quiet corners and ancient secrets, waits to be explored. I adjust the satchel on my shoulder, my heart calm and full, ready to walk through the gate and into the serene embrace of Dubrovnik. Chapter 3, A Haven Above the Walls. I find my way through the labyrinth and outer streets to the Plos neighborhood, a quiet residential area that rests on the hillside just east of the old town's formidable gates. My temporary home is the top floor of a tall, narrow stone house, reached by a flight of cool, worn stone steps. The key feels heavy and old in my hand, and the lock turns with a satisfying metallic click. The door swings open into a space of simple, profound tranquility. The apartment is small but feels spacious, thanks to the high whitewashed ceiling and the light that floods in through a large glass door. The floor is made of cool, pale stone that feels wonderful under my travel-worn feet. The furnishings are minimal. A simple wooden table with 2 chairs, a comfortable-looking bed tucked into an alcove, and a small, functional kitchenette. There is nothing superfluous here, nothing to distract from the sense of peace that permeates the space. Slowly, I unpack my leather satchel, the familiar ritual grounding me in this new place. I place my notebook and pen on the wooden table, their presence a quiet promise of reflections to come. My camera finds a home on a small shelf next to a single well-tended potted geranium with bright red blossoms. I run a hand over the cool, smooth surface of the table, then over the slightly rough texture of the whitewashed wall. It feels solid, ancient, real. The main feature of the room, however, is the small balcony accessed through the glass door. I slide it open, and the city's unique soundscape washes over me. It is not the roar of a metropolis, but a more gentle composition. The distant melodic chime of a church bell, the cheerful high-pitched calls of swallows swooping through the air, and the faint, almost imperceptible hum of life from the old town below. The air is warm and smells of sun-baked stone salt, and the sweet, heady fragrance of jasmine climbing a trellis on the neighboring wall. I step out onto the balcony and lean my hands on the warm stone railing, and I breathe. The view is staggering, a living postcard of perfect beauty. Directly below me is a cascade of terracotta roofs, a warm, textured sea of tiles that has capped these houses for centuries. Beyond them, the magnificent city walls trace a powerful protective line around the old town. I can see the Meseta Tower, the highest point of the walls, standing proud and strong against the brilliant blue sky. My gaze travels further across the clustered rooftops to the old port, where the water of the harbor is a calm, shimmering turquoise. Tiny boats bob like toys on its surface, and beyond the harbor, floating in the vast expanse of the Adriatic, is the deep green, pine-covered silhouette of Lokrum Island. It is a view that encompasses everything: the ancient city, the working harbor, and the wild natural beauty of the sea and island. It is a landscape of perfect harmony. This small balcony, I realize, will be my sanctuary. It is a place to sit in the morning with a cup of tea as the city awakens, and a place to watch in the evening as the setting sun paints the stone and water in shades of gold and rose. It is a perch, a haven just outside the magnificent fray, offering a perspective that is both intimate and expansive. It allows me to be an observer, to watch the rhythm of the city without being swept away by it. I pull one of the simple wooden chairs from the table and place it on the balcony. I sit, letting the warmth of the stone floor seep into my feet. I don't need to go anywhere or do anything right now. The journey to get here was long, first on the familiar rails of the wanderer, and then across the sunlit sea. Now is a time for stillness, for arrival. From this vantage point, I feel a profound connection to the city, yet I am comfortably apart from it. It's a feeling I cherish, this balance of engagement and solitude. The swallows continue their ballet in the sky, their wings slicing silently through the warm air. The church bell chimes again, its clear, resonant tone floating up from the heart of the old town. I close my eyes, listening, feeling the sun on my skin, and know that I have found my quiet corner, my haven above the walls. Chapter 4. A walk above the rooftops. The morning air is cool and soft, holding the last vestiges of the night's tranquility. I arrive at the pile gate, the main western entrance to the old town, just as the city is beginning to stir. The stone-paved streets are still damp from their overnight cleaning, and the early light casts long, gentle shadows that stretch across the squares. I ascend a steep flight of stone steps, my footsteps echoing softly in the quiet, and emerge onto the top of the city walls. Up here, the world feels different. The narrow, bustling streets of the city fall away below, and the sky opens up above me, a vast, pale blue canvas. I am alone, save for a few sleepy guards and the thousands of swifts that have already begun their morning acrobatics, their wings cutting silently through the air. I begin my walk at a slow, contemplative pace, heading south along the sea-facing side of the fortifications. The stone pathway under my feet is worn smooth, polished by the footsteps of countless generations of sentinels and visitors. To my right is the endless shimmering expanse of the Adriatic Sea, its surface like wrinkled silk in the gentle morning breeze. The water is a deep, mesmerizing blue that seems to pull the light into its depths. The horizon is a clean, sharp line, blurred only by the distant, hazy silhouette of an island. To my left and far below is the city itself, a living museum of architectural harmony. I can see directly into hidden gardens and quiet cloisters, spaces of green and shadow tucked away among the stone buildings. The view is a tapestry of textures. The rough, weathered limestone of the wall itself, the uniform, rounded terracotta tiles of the rooftops, the sharp, dark green of cypress trees rising from private courtyards, and the impossible smoothness of the sea. I pause, leaning against a crenellation, the stones still cool from the night. I watch the city wake up. A window opens. A line of laundry is hung out to dry. The scent of baking bread drifts up from a hidden bakery. These are the small, intimate details of life that continue, as they have for centuries, within these protective walls. I continue my walk, the path rising and falling as it follows the contours of the fortifications. Each bastion and tower offers a new perspective, a different angle from which to appreciate the city's design. I run my hand along the top of the parapet, the stone warm now as the sun climbs higher. I think of the history held within this stone, the centuries of vigilance, the battles fought and won, the eras of peace and prosperity. The wall is not just a structure, it is a chronicle, a silent storyteller. My favorite part of the walk is the section that overlooks the jumble of houses built on the steep inner slopes. The rooftops are so close I feel I could almost reach out and touch them. They're not perfectly uniform. Some are a brighter orange, newer replacements, while others are a faded, dusky red covered in moss and lichen. They create a beautiful undulating pattern, a warm sea of clay that flows through the heart of the city. I lift my camera and take a single photograph, not of the grand vista, but of this intricate pattern of roofs, a quiet study in color and form. As I round the eastern corner and begin the landward side of the circuit, the view changes. Now I look down upon the main street, the Straten, a wide, gleaming ribbon of limestone running through the center of the old town. From up here, the people below are small figures, moving with a purpose I can only guess at. The sounds of the city are more pronounced here. The murmur of voices, the clatter of a delivery cart, the distant echo of a tour guide's speech. But up on the wall, they are muted, part of a gentle ambient soundscape. I find a small shaded alcove in the wall and sit on a stone bench, taking a sip of water from my bottle. The sun is higher now, its warmth pleasant and energizing. The walk has taken me over an hour, but it has felt like mere minutes. It is a meditative experience, a slow, circular pilgrimage above the city. It is a way to understand the layout, the soul, and the sheer breathtaking beauty of Dubrovnik from a perspective of quiet elevation. Finishing my circuit, I descend the steps near the Ploce Gate, feeling grounded and centered. The walk has not been about covering distance, but about absorbing detail, about feeling the connection between the stone, the sea, and the sky. I have walked a circle in time, tracing a path that has existed for centuries, and in doing so, I have found my own quiet rhythm within the ancient beating heart of this city. Chapter 5. Whispers of Lokrum Island. A small wooden ferry puttered away from the old port, its engine a gentle thrum against the morning's calm. In just 10 minutes, the imposing stone walls of Dubrovnik begin to recede, and the lush green expanse of Lokrum Island grows larger, welcoming me to its shores. Stepping off the boat onto the small pier, I feel an immediate shift in the atmosphere. The air here is different, cooler, and filled with the scent of pine needles, damp earth, and the faint, sweet perfume of wildflowers. The island is a designated nature reserve, and its wildness is its primary charm. I choose a shaded path that winds its way into a forest of Aleppo pine and holm oak. The sunlight filters through the dense canopy above, creating a dappled, shifting pattern on the forest floor. The only sounds are the crunch of my own footsteps on the gravel path, the gentle rustle of leaves in the sea breeze, and the industrious hum of insects. It is a world away from the stone city just across the water. As I walk deeper into the island's interior, I encounter its most famous residence, a peacock, its magnificent tail folded behind it like a royal cloak, steps slowly across the path in front of me, its head held high with an air of regal indifference. Another one calls from a nearby tree, a strange plaintive cry that echoes through the quiet woods. They are everywhere, these beautiful exotic birds, their iridescent blues and greens, a startling flash of color against the muted tones of the forest. My path leads me to the ruins of a 12th century Benedictine monastery. The walls are crumbling, covered in ivy, but the structure still holds a powerful sense of peace. I step through an arched doorway into what was once the cloister garden. The space is overgrown but beautiful, a tangle of wildflowers and fragrant herbs growing where the monks once cultivated their medicinal plants. I sit on a low, moss-covered stone wall, the silence of the place profound and deeply restful. I can almost hear the whispers of history here, the soft chants and quiet footsteps of the monks who sought solace on this island centuries ago. From the monastery, I follow a different path that leads towards the island's coast. The terrain becomes more rugged, the path winding between large, smooth limestone rocks. I emerge from the trees onto a rocky shoreline, a series of flat white ledges that shelve gently into the sea. The water here is exceptionally clear, a brilliant turquoise that reveals every stone and frond of seaweed on the seabed below. I find a secluded spot, a natural alcove in the rocks, shielded from the main path. I take off my shoes and socks, placing my bare feet on the sun-warmed stone. The rock is smooth and solid beneath me, and I lean back on my hands, tilting my face to the sun. The only sound is the hypnotic rhythm of the sea, the water sighing and whispering, as it laps against the rocks. It is a sound that washes away thought, leaving only a state of pure, simple being. I watch a small lizard scuttling over the rocks, its movements quick and precise. I observe the way the light dances on the surface of the water, a million tiny, brilliant diamonds. I spend a long time there in my small rocky cove. I eat the simple lunch I packed, a piece of bread, some cheese, and a ripe peach. The flavors seeming more intense in the clean, salt-tinged air. I don't read or write. I just sit, watch, and listen. Lokrum is not an island for doing. It is an island for being. It is a place to reconnect with the simple elemental forces of nature, stone, sea, sun, and a quiet life that grows in between. Later, as I walk back towards the pier to catch the return ferry, I feel a sense of deep calm, as if the island's tranquility has seeped into my very bones. The peacocks are still preening in the grassy clearings, their beauty a casual, everyday miracle. The forest is still whispering its ancient secrets. The island feels like a lung for the city, a place of green, breathing space that offers a perfect counterpoint to Dubrovnik's magnificent stone. On the ferry ride back, I watch Lokrum recede, its green shores a peaceful memory. The stone walls of the city grow larger again, ready to welcome me back into their historic embrace. But I carry the island's stillness with me. It is a quietness I can return to in my mind, a pocket of natural serenity that I now hold within myself. A gentle whisper of pine and sea amidst the echoes of the city. Chapter 6. The Colors of Gundulić Square. The heart of the old town beats to a gentle rhythm in the morning, and nowhere is this more apparent than in Gundulić Square. I arrive as the market is in full swing, a vibrant but unhurried affair that has been a daily ritual for centuries. The square is dominated by a statue of the 17th century poet Ivan Gundulić, who watches over the proceedings with a timeless bronze gaze. The air is alive with a symphony of gentle sounds. The soft murmur of Croatian conversation, the rustle of paper bags, and the clink of coins. Unlike the loud, chaotic markets of other cities, this one has a peaceful, neighborly feel. I meander slowly between the stalls, my aim not to buy, but to observe, to absorb the sensory details of this slice of daily life. My eyes are drawn to the rich colors laid out on the simple wooden tables. There are piles of deep purple figs, their skins looking soft as velvet, mounds of plump crimson tomatoes still warm from the sun, and pyramids of bright sunny lemons and oranges, their citrus scent sharp and clean in the air. One stall is dedicated entirely to products made from lavender. The scent is heavenly, a calming herbal fragrance that seems to float over the entire square. There are small embroidered sachets filled with dried buds, bars of pale purple soap, and small vials of essential oil that gleam in the morning light. An elderly woman with kind eyes and a weathered face presides over the stall, her hands moving with practiced grace as she ties a ribbon around a small bundle for a customer. I move on, my attention captured by another stall selling local delicacies. Glass jars are filled with honey, the liquid ranging in color from pale translucent gold to a deep, rich amber. There are bags of arancini, candied orange peel, their glistening, sugary surfaces catching the light. And there are small, beautifully packaged bottles of homemade olive oil and fruit brandies, their labels handwritten in elegant script. Each item is a testament to the bounty of the surrounding land and the traditions that have been passed down through generations. I decide to make a small purchase to participate in this gentle commerce. I choose a small carton of wild strawberries from a friendly vendor. They are tiny, much smaller than the ones I am used to seeing, and their color is a deep, intense red. He weighs them on an old-fashioned brass scale, the metal gleaming. I pay with a few coins, and he thanks me with a warm, genuine smile. Holding the small carton, I feel a simple, direct connection to this place, to the earth that produced this fruit and the person who brought it here. Instead of eating them immediately, I find a spot to sit on the wide, elegant flight of the Jesuit stairs at the southern end of the square. From this slightly elevated vantage point, I can watch the entire scene unfold. I see locals greeting each other with a kiss on each cheek, friends stopping to chat over their shopping bags, and children chasing pigeons across the polished flagstones. It is a scene of quiet community, a gentle, unforced ballet of everyday life. I open my small carton and pop one of the wild strawberries into my mouth. The flavor is extraordinary, an intense burst of sweetness with a slightly tart finish, a taste of pure, concentrated sunshine. I eat them slowly, one by one, savoring the flavor and the moment. The sun warms the stone steps beneath me, and the gentle hum of the market is a soothing background melody. I take out my notebook, but I only write down a few words. Gundulić Square, the taste of sunshine. When the carton is empty, I stay seated for a while longer, simply observing. I notice the way the light catches the edge of a glass jar, the intricate pattern of a woman's lace collar, the expressive gestures of a vendor describing his wares. These are the small, overlooked details that contain the true essence of a place. The market is not just a place to buy food. It is a living, breathing part of the city's soul, a daily reaffirmation of its connection to the land and its community. Finally, I stand up, brushing the crumbs from my trousers. The market is beginning to wind down as the morning progresses, the vendors starting to pack away their unsold goods. I leave the square feeling nourished, not just by the sweet fruit, but by the peaceful, authentic atmosphere. I have tasted a small piece of Dubrovnik's daily life, and its simple, vibrant flavor will stay with me for a long time. Chapter 7. Through the hole in the wall. My curiosity is piqued by a rumor, a whisper of a place that isn't on the main tourist maps. The directions are simple yet cryptic. Find the small opening in the wall. I wander through the quieter residential streets on the southern edge of the old town, my eyes scanning the immense stone fortifications that tower beside me. The wall here is a solid, unbroken expanse of limestone, and I begin to think I've been led on a fool's errand. Then I see it. It is not a grand archway or a formal door, but a simple, unadorned opening in the stone, no bigger than a standard doorway. There is a small, discreet wooden sign next to it that simply says, "Cold Drinks." It feels like a secret entrance, a portal to another world. I hesitate for a moment, then, compelled by the promise of discovery, I step through the opening. The passage is short and dark, and for a few seconds, my world is cool stone and shadow. Then I step out into the brilliant, dazzling sunlight. The contrast is breathtaking. I find myself standing on a narrow, rocky terrace that clings precariously to the outside of the city walls. The immense stone fortification is at my back, a solid anchor, and before me is nothing but the vast, open expanse of the Adriatic Sea. The water is a stunning shade of blue, stretching out to a perfectly clear horizon. The world has opened up from the confinement of the passage to this infinite view. This is a Buza Bar, a name that literally means whole. The setup is wonderfully simple. A few rustic wooden tables and chairs are scattered across the uneven rocky ledges. A small shack-like bar is built into another crevice in the wall, serving a basic menu of beer, wine, and soft drinks. There are no frills, no music, no distractions. The view is the entire point. I find a small table right at the edge of the cliff. The sea directly below me. The sound here is magnificent. The deep, rhythmic crash and sigh of the waves against the rocks far below. It's a powerful, primal sound that drowns out everything else, creating a bubble of serene isolation. I order a glass of cold water with a slice of lemon, the simple drink feeling like the most luxurious thing in the world in this setting. The sun is high and hot, but a gentle, steady breeze comes off the sea, keeping the temperature perfect. I watch a few brave souls who have climbed down rocks to a lower ledge, taking turns to dive into the impossibly clear, deep blue water. Their shouts of exhilaration are carried away by the wind, small human sounds against the immense backdrop of this sea and sky. I have no desire to join them. My pleasure is in the quiet observation, the stillness. I sit for a long time, doing nothing but watching the sea. I observe the way the light plays on its surface, creating a constantly shifting pattern of silver and gold. I watch the slow, graceful arc of a seagull as it rides the thermal currents. I feel the solid, ancient stone of the wall behind me, a silent guardian that has withstood the sea's power for centuries. It is a place that makes you feel both small and incredibly significant at the same time. I take out my camera, but once again, I hesitate to use it. How could a photograph possibly capture the feeling of the warm sun on my skin, the cool breeze on my face, the thunderous lullaby of the waves, and the sheer, vertigo-inducing beauty of the view? This is a moment to be lived, not recorded. I leave the camera in my satchel and instead just commit the scene to memory, etching every detail into my mind. As the afternoon wears on, a few more people discover the spot, but it never feels crowded. There's a shared, unspoken understanding among everyone here. We are all participants in a beautiful, secret, temporary inhabitants of this magical space between the city and the sea. When it is time to leave, I do so reluctantly. I pass back through the hole in the wall, leaving the sun and the sea behind me. Isa, stepping back into the shaded, quiet street of the old town, feels like returning from a different dimension. The air is stiller, the sounds more muted, but I carry the feeling of the Buza with me, the vastness of the view, the power of the sea, and the simple joy of discovering a hidden, tranquil corner of the world. It was more than just a bar. It was an experience, a moment of perfect, sun-drenched serenity. Chapter 8. The Golden Hour on Stone. As the afternoon begins to fade, I make my way to the old port. I bypass the bustling cafes and restaurants that line the main harbor front, seeking out a quieter spot. I find what I'm looking for at the far end of the pier, a wide stone quay where a few local fishermen are mending their nets, their movements slow and practiced. I find a place to sit on the edge of the quay, my legs dangling over the water, and settle in to wait for the daily spectacle of the sunset. The sun is still bright, but it has lost its midday intensity. It hangs lower in the sky, a brilliant white disk over the western sea. The water in the harbor is calm, its surface reflecting the colorful hulls of the small fishing boats that are moored here. They bob gently, their ropes creaking softly in a rhythmic, lulling chorus. The air is warm and still, carrying the scent of salt and drying nets. I watch the fishermen as they work, their hands gnarled and stained from years of this life. They speak to each other in low voices, their conversation punctuated by easy laughter. They pay me no mind, accepting my quiet presence as part of the scenery. Their calm, unhurried pace is infectious, and I feel my own thoughts begin to slow, my focus narrowing to the simple sensory details of the moment. The rough texture of the stone beneath my palms, the gentle rocking of the boats, the soft sloshing sound of the water against the pier walls. Then the magic begins. As the sun sinks closer to the horizon, the quality of the light starts to change. The harsh white light softens, turning into a rich, liquid gold. This is the golden hour, the brief, beautiful period when the world is bathed in a warm, ethereal glow. And in a city made of stone, the effect is nothing short of breathtaking. The pale limestone walls of the city, which can look almost white in the midday sun, are transformed. They begin to blush, taking on a warm, rosy hue. The St. John Fortress, which guards the entrance to the harbor, seems to absorb the light, its massive stone blocks glowing from within as if lit by an internal fire. Every crack and crevice in the ancient stone is thrown into sharp relief, creating a beautiful interplay of golden light and deep, soft shadow. I turn my gaze from the fortress back toward the heart of the old town. The rector's palace, the cathedral, and the countless houses all catch the golden light, their stone facades gleaming, the terracotta roofs, already a warm color, deepen to a fiery, burnished red. The entire city, which is so impressive in its scale and history, suddenly becomes a place of soft, gentle beauty, a fairy tale kingdom bathed in liquid gold. I lift my camera, and this time I do take a photograph. I frame a shot of the fortress, the golden stone set against the darkening purple blue of the sea. I know the picture won't fully capture the feeling, the warmth, the profound sense of peace, but it will serve as a reminder, a key to unlock this memory in the future. I take just one shot, then lower the camera, preferring to experience the rest of the sunset without a lens between me and the world. The sun finally kisses the horizon, a perfect glowing orb of orange. It sinks quickly, and as it disappears, it sends a final spectacular flourish of color across the sky, streaks of pink, orange, and violet. The show is over. The golden hour gives way to the soft, muted light of twilight. The city's glow fades, the stone returning to its cool, gray state, now silhouetted against the colorful sky. The fishermen finish their work, gathering their nets and heading home. The first lights begin to twinkle on in the windows of the old town. A sense of quiet settles over the harbor. I remained seated on the edge of the pier for a while longer, watching the last colors fade from the sky and the first stars appear. The sunset was not a dramatic, fiery event, but a slow, graceful, and deeply serene transformation. It was a quiet reminder that even the most formidable stone can be softened by light, and that there is immense beauty to be found in simply sitting still and watching the day come to a peaceful close. Chapter 9. A Dawn Farewell. Before the first light of dawn, my alarm gently chimes. I rise in the cool darkness of my apartment, moving quietly so as not to disturb the profound stillness of the hour. My satchel is already mostly packed, my few belongings ready for the journey back, but I am not leaving just yet. I have one final walk to take, one last farewell to make to this city that has offered so much peace. I slip out of the apartment and walk through the close gate into the old town. The city at this hour is a world transformed. It is empty, silent, and entirely mine. The streets, which will be thronged with people in just a few hours, are now deserted corridors of stone and shadow. The only sound is the soft echo of my own footsteps on the polished flagstones, a solitary rhythm in the sleeping city. I walk the length of the Stradun, the main street. Its limestone paving, worn smooth by millions of footsteps over centuries, gleams like a river of milk in the faint pre-dawn light. The street lights cast long yellow pools of light, creating an atmosphere that is both intimate and mysterious. The shops are dark, their shutters drawn. The cafes have their chairs stacked on the tables. The city is at rest, breathing slowly and deeply in its sleep. I wander aimlessly, turning down narrow side alleys, my hand trailing along the cool, rough stone of the ancient walls. I pass under stone archways and through small, hidden squares. I feel like a ghost, a privileged observer, allowed to see the city in its most vulnerable and authentic state, stripped of all its daily hustle and bustle. This is the true face of Dubrovnik, the timeless stone skeleton upon which the life of the day is built. As I walk, the sky begins to lighten. A pale pearly gray replaces the blackness in the east, and the first birds begin to sing. It is not a chorus, but a few soloists, the clear, high-pitched call of a swift, the cheerful chirp of a sparrow. Their song is the first sign of the city awakening, and it is a beautiful, hopeful sound. The outlines of the rooftops and bell towers become sharper against the brightening sky. I find myself back at the Jesuit stairs, the site of my quiet market observations. I sit on the same spot on the cool stone steps and watch the dawn unfold. The light grows, slowly filling the sky and chasing the deep shadows from the narrow streets. The color of the stone begins to change, shifting from a cold, flat gray to a warmer, more detailed texture as the light reveals its imperfections and its history. The new day is washing over the city, a fresh start, as it has done every day for 1,000 years. I think back on my time here, the walk along the sunlit walls, the peaceful silence of Lokrum Island, the taste of wild strawberries in the market square, the infinite view from the hole in the wall, the golden light on the ancient stone. They're not just memories, they are feelings, moments of serene connection that have woven themselves into my being. This city, which I came to as a stranger, now feels like a quiet, familiar friend. It is time to go. I stand up and take one last look down the Stradun. A lone baker is now crossing the street, a tray of fresh bread on his shoulder, the scent following him like a delicious ghost. The city is stirring. My time in its quietest hour is over. I walk back towards the Ploce gate, my footsteps now joined by the distant rumble of a delivery cart and the clang of a metal shutter being raised. Back in my apartment, I take my camera and my notebook, placing them carefully in my satchel. I stand on the balcony for a final moment, taking in that breathtaking view of the terracotta roofs and the sea one last time. The water is a soft, misty blue in the early morning light. I take a deep breath of the cool, salt-tinged air, a final taste of Dubrovnik's serenity. Then I close the balcony door, lock the apartment behind me, and walk away, my heart full of a quiet, grateful sense of farewell. Chapter 10. The Adriatic in Memory. The journey away from a place is a mirror image of the arrival, a slow unwinding of the connection that was so carefully built. I stand once again on the deck of the ferry, but this time the city is shrinking behind me instead of growing before me. The massive stone walls of Dubrovnik, which seem so indomitable upon arrival, become smaller and smaller until they are just a faint honey-colored line on the horizon, a memory etched between the sea and the sky. The ferry ride back to Split is a quiet, contemplative journey. I don't feel sad, but rather a sense of peaceful completion. A chapter has been written, and now it is time to turn the page. The sun warms the deck, and the sea is the same brilliant blue, but my gaze is more internal now. I watch the green islands pass by, not as new discoveries, but as familiar markers on a path I have already traveled. The journey itself has become a memory in the making. Back in Split, I am reunited with the wanderer. Stepping back into my carriage feels like coming home. The familiar scent of polished wood, old books, and worn leather envelops me like a comforting blanket. The chaos of the port city fades away as the heavy door clicks shut behind me. Here, in my own private, moving world, I can begin to process the experiences of the past days. The contrast between the vast open seascape and the cozy, enclosed space of my carriage is stark, and I appreciate both in equal measure. I don't start the journey north immediately. Instead, I make myself a cup of tea and sit in my armchair. I open my satchel and take out the camera. I scroll through the few photographs I took. The intricate pattern of the rooftops from the city wall, the golden glow of the St. John Fortress at sunset, the view of the sea from the Buza Bar. They're just images, flat and silent, but they act as keys, unlocking the full sensory richness of the moments they represent. Looking at them, I can feel the sun, hear the waves, taste the salt in the air. Later, as the train finally begins to pull away from the station, the familiar rhythmic click-clack of the wheels is a soothing sound. The city of Split recedes, and soon we are back in the Croatian countryside, the landscape of limestone and olive groves now imbued with a sense of familiarity. I watch the scenery pass by, but my mind is still lingering on the coast, on the city of stone and light. I open my notebook to a fresh page. I write the title, Adriatic Serenity. I don't try to chronicle every event. Instead, I jot down feelings, sensory details, and small observations. The sound of swallows over the rooftops at dawn. The taste of a wild strawberry. The feeling of sun-warmed stone. The color of the sea from the city walls. These fragments are more true to the experience than a detailed narrative would be. They are the essence of the place, the small, perfect moments that defined my time there. As night falls, the wanderer travels north, a small capsule of warmth and light moving through the sleeping landscape. I dim the lamps in the carriage and look out the window, my own reflection a faint ghost against the passing darkness. The journey continues, as it always does, but something has shifted. The serenity of Dubrovnik, the peace of its ancient stones and its timeless sea, has become a part of me. It is a new layer of stillness I carry within, a quiet harbor I can return to in my mind whenever I need it. I lean my head against the cool glass of the window, the gentle vibration of the train, a familiar lullaby. I am not thinking about the next destination, not yet. For now, I am content to be in this in-between space, this moving sanctuary, carrying the precious, peaceful memory of the Adriatic with me. The journey is the destination, and every place I visit becomes a permanent part of the interior landscape I am slowly, carefully building, one quiet mile at a time.